Hi guys, Dr. Kid here. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 tips that you can do right now to improve your eczema. Tip number 1, avoid tight and wool clothing. Tight clothing rubs up against the skin and also does not allow the skin to breathe very well. Wool clothing is very prickly and is considered an irritant and will flare up your eczema. Tip number 2, wear loose 100% cotton clothing. Loose clothing allows your skin to breathe a lot better, and cotton is the most recommended fabric for patients that have eczema. Number 3, wash new clothes before you wear them. New clothes often have some chemicals on it and can be very irritating in eczema, so make sure that you wash your new clothes before you wear them. Tip number 4, avoid excessive heat or excessive cold. Excessive heat can cause you to sweat, and sweat can be an irritant in eczema. Excessive cold can be very drying to the skin, and the skin in eczema is already very dry. So one way you can counter this in colder environments is you can get a humidifier and put it in your room, and this can help moisten up the air and reduce the dryness on the skin. Tip number 5, keep your showers lukewarm, under 10 minutes, and avoid the excessive use of soap. As we said before in tip 4, heat can be quite aggravating to eczema. That's why we try to keep our showers cool. And soap itself can also be quite aggravating to eczema as well. So soap actually only is really necessary for certain areas of our body, such as our hands, feet, groin, armpits, and face. So try to avoid using soap in the other areas. And if you have to use soap, try to use chemical-free or fragrance-free soaps. Guys, if you're finding the tips helpful so far, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and let's get back to the eczema tips. Tip number 6, moisturize at least twice a day. Moisturizing the skin helps prevent dryness and also helps soothe itch. When you itch and scratch areas of eczema, you increase the risk of damage to the skin and also complications such as infections. Now, what is the best moisturizer? Well, that's a complex question. It really depends on the individual and their skin. But as a generalization for eczema, oilier moisturizers are often better because they don't rub off the skin so easily, and they form a nice protective barrier on the skin, and they also trap in the moisture better. Number 7, choose fragrance-free skin products. Fragrant or scented skin products can often flare eczema and can be quite irritating, so make sure if you're using skin products, use fragrance-free skin products. Tip number 8, minimize trauma from scratching. Now, saying stop scratching is easier said than done, but what you can do is minimize some of the trauma to the skin when you do scratch. So such things as trimming the nails, or in babies you can put some gloves on, and that can help minimize the damage to the skin and reduce the risk of infections. Tip number 9, use bleach baths for eczema. Patients with eczema have a high load of bacteria on the skin, particularly one called Staphylococcus aureus, and this predisposes them to complications such as infection. Bleach baths can help reduce this bacterial load in the skin and therefore reduce the risk of infections. Now, if you need to know how to do bleach baths, I've already made a video on this, and I'll put the link in the description below so you can check that out as well. Number 10, use wet dressings for eczema. Wet dressings help to moisturize the skin and reduce itch. The basic way you do wet dressings is you put a layer of corticosteroid cream on the skin first, then a layer of moisturizer, and then you put some sort of wet dressing on top of the skin to hold it all on. I'll leave in the description below a more comprehensive step-by-step guide on how you can do wet dressings. Now, for one final practical tip to tie it all together, what I find is bleach baths and wet dressings can be quite time consuming, and they're not absolutely necessary for everyone with eczema. What I find is that if you stick to the first 8 tips, plus use a good topical corticosteroid prescribed by your doctor, often with my patients I get good results just from these alone. Bleach baths and wet dressings are just that little bit extra if you need, just to really control the eczema that can be a bit recalcitrant. So they're my 10 tips for eczema that you can start today. Try them out, and if you find they help your eczema, make sure you come back and like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.